So I finished most of the storage I want on here, which is really nice. So we're gonna pop it up and give you a look-see. The only thing I hadn't done is this cubbies in here, but I have an idea for that. But if you look here, this side, we got our clamps here, which is nice. And then below it, we built that shelf we were talking about. It has just a bunch of random stuff. Once I remove these from packages, then maybe I'll have another smaller shelf somewhere that we can attach them to. We got chisels, pliers, screwdriver, clamps, and then the pocket hole jig, the angle jig, and the dowel one. And then on the front here, doesn't look pretty just yet, but I'm working on it. Obviously, we're going to keep these in there. And then I made just a little thing for the tape measure, and then I got my marking knife and my marking punch. Easy to grab. And then both squares. I got the speed square over there, and then the combo square here. And then on this side, there's obviously some more room for some stuff, but we got the Forstner bits there, and we got hammers, pry bars, and the level. So that's pretty good. Nothing on the back just yet. But I did go shopping today for a little bit. Let's see if I can get this centered again. And then we just pull it down. I can use my feet to pull it down, but I just realized that it's going to eventually just tear the toe off your shoe if you do that, right? Too much. So anyway, that's how that goes. So we got that. We did that for a bit today, or not today, this week. So this is going to probably be a shorter video just because I don't have a lot of time this week. It's pretty busy. But I did spend a couple hours the other day, and I took all of the stuff that's in the rafters above here that you've been probably staring at because it's just a mess up there. And I cleaned it out, and I messed it, and it was dusty and gross, and I didn't want to film it because it was dusty and gross. And it was just a cloud of dust in here. I had to wear a mask and stuff. But we got that cleaned out. And then, so I'll go through some of the stuff that I picked up for the shop and figure out how I'm going to handle some of that. I picked up a TV specifically so I can watch baseball games while I'm in the shop, but I think the TV's too big. But it was really, really cheap and on sale. But this place is, I constantly envision this place to be bigger than it is. I don't know why I keep doing that. But anyway, so we'll go through that. But my plan, hopefully for this week, is to try to make a cart for the planer and the jointer to sit on. So we're going to open those up right away here, just so I can get some measurements, final measurements of it, because I want their outfeeds to be roughly the same height as this table, so I need to know what I'm working with. And then we'll open the table saw first and then get it on its stand. I need to clear out some room here and get rid of a lot of the garbage that's in here now. So, and then if you see back here, I got one of the boards up on the garbage can here just because I was taking some measurements, because I think I want to get them up on the wall here, hopefully this week, if not next week, and then get them sanded and painted so we can get this wall covered and looking pretty good. So this is the stuff we're going to be working on. You can also see down here that there's an anvil down here now. So I don't know how well you guys will be able to see this, but this guy was I got from a gentleman about 3 hours south of here, and it's a little beat up. It's just over 100 years old. It's 103 pounds, which is perfect for this shop. Unfortunately, the the horn, the edge of the end of the horn has been mushroomed. But I'm going to look at fixing it. I don't need it to be a complete point, but I don't want it to be mushroomed. But that's something that some people do for certain aspects. But I'm going to try to take the mushroom off of it, but I have to be very careful to not ruin the temper of the anvil. The edges are dinged up, but fine. They'll do just fine for what we're working for. But in the future, if we ever decide to like work on the anvil and maybe refinish it, then that would be a nice little project for something like this, a smaller anvil instead of something big. But you have to learn how to weld first in order to fix an anvil, and I don't know how to do that yet. So this guy's there, and then we got the forge in the storage room in the house, because we're just not there yet for this side. We're very, very close though. There's just fire hazards and propane and that kind of stuff that I need to figure out. I'm not going to do anything drastic when it comes to that. So that's that guy, and we're gonna just put him off to the side for a couple of days. But anyway, I got him very, very inexpensive. I was very surprised because I thought the anvil was going to be the most expensive part of the shop, and it almost was. Because a brand new anvil about that size is going to run me about $1,500, give or take a couple hundred. But I almost bought a $2,000 anvil, but that would have capped me on my shop budget. So that little guy cost me $600, which I was pretty happy about. So there's that. So anyway, to some of the things I bought. I bought this little Stanley little wall mount wet dry vac, and I did that for 2 reasons. One reason is pulling out the big shop vac just to blow off or vacuum up the benches it's a waste of time when this one can just always be ready. And then the second thing is dust extraction for the smaller tools. Again, I don't want to pull out the big guy for the smaller tools. The big guy is going to hopefully fit on the cart that the jointer and the planer are on. And then whenever the table saw is in use, we'll have it do something with that. But that's that plan. Anyway, so that's that guy. And then, don't ignore the bag. It's not actually from Rona. It's from Walmart, but they had some good stuff. I realized I didn't have a hole saw kit, so I just picked up a cheap Work Pro one there. And then another countersink set. This was really, really cheap. But the shorter countersinks. So I needed something not as long as the ones that I did originally get here. We'll get that all laid out there. Extension cord and a triple prong or a triple tap end, because I'm going to have something, because there's no outlets back on that side of the shop. So I need to run an extension cord for the TV. I'll show you the TV in a second. So these are specifically for the TV and any power that's going to be behind or closer to the camera. I did put a little light on top of the camera. It's not the best light, but I think it will help for when I come to show you guys some stuff. And then I got a couple more little bottles of wood glue because they were on clearance and getting done. I checked the expiries and stuff. They were good. I don't think there's not much to worry about there. So it's just wood glue. I froze my other one. Speaking of which, I should probably pull it out and garbage it because I noticed, unfortunately, that when this is just really not holding anymore. So I did a couple of tests. So I picked up another bottle of it. It's a smaller bottle, so that I'm not worried just in case I make another mistake. I'm not buying bigger things. Anyway, so then there's that, and then there's some finishes. I bought some stains, and a couple of the cans are a little dented, so I'll have to watch for flakes. But I bought 4 stains. I don't know if they're any good, but I wanted to test what I think is going to be some of the best colors for some of the palette projects we're going to make. And so there's I got this one's golden pecan. It's just regular. It seems like more of a pine. There's Kona, which is a really dark. It's the darkest one that they had. There was a dark walnut, but they were sold out, so that's fine. And I got American walnut, and then I got this cool weathered gray one that I'm interested to see. So what I want to do with these is I want to take 4 pieces of pallet wood, and I'm going to try to find maybe the gnarliest ones. We're going to sand them down. We're going to make them look pretty nice, and then we're going to stain them, and then we're going to have an example of all 4 stains just kind of somewhere on the wall. So if we have an idea of what we're looking for, then we know what these stains look like. And I'm sure that other stain companies have similar colors, so at least I'll have a small little gamut of colors for when I'm trying to decide what I should do with certain things. So that was kind of important. And since I bought a couple dented cans, they were like half off and stuff, so it's really nice. And then over here I just got this guy. Now it's not like anything fancy or anything like that. It's just not even a 4K. It's a 40-inch full HD, so it's 1080p. I don't even care if it was 720p. I got the cheapest one they had that was on sale. I wanted 40 inches, but now that I think about it, 32 would have been better. Because I think, honestly, if I try to mount it where I wanted to, like I know the TV's not this size, but I wanted to mount it right here. Oh, well, maybe. Depending on how high I can get it. Anyway, it might fit there. I wanted to mount it there, so then when I'm actually doing some of the more tedious stuff, I can have my games on and make this more of a homey place. The weather is going to be warming up more significantly over the coming weeks, and so some of the stuff like the battery chargers and stuff like that, I can move into here for the summer. And so that's why I really want to get this wall done. It's because there's just so much potential on that wall for helping with storage of items. And one of the things I really need to do in here is get rid of some of the stuff that's on the floor, like the wheelbarrow and all the cardboard. And there's going to be a bunch of boxes coming out from this now. So there's that. All right, let's move on to checking out some of these larger tools. We'll get the table saw first. All right, so this guy comes with a stand and a really crappy push stick. This is the push stick, and from my research, one of the first things I should do is make or buy a new push stick. I think I'm going to buy one. There's one, I can't remember the name of it right now, but has a lot of good reviews and people love it. It's like a block, it's a push block. It's adjustable for depending on what you're doing. But if anybody has suggestions, I'm fine with that. Okay. So it's built. This thing, out of everything that I've purchased for this shop, is the thing that terrifies me the most. So while we're learning, it's probably the thing that I'm gonna probably use the least. But like I said, when I bought it, it was on sale, and it was just like all 3 Craftsman tools were just there for the taking. So we got those. So yeah, so I'll move this off to the side, and then we'll get going on the other ones. All right, let's do the joiner next, and we'll see what this guy looks like. Go. Jointer set up. So pretty cool. I gotta get some rubbing alcohol to clean off the surface, like I said in the manual, which is good. But hey, it's there. It's a small guy, but that's what I need. It's almost exactly the size I was hoping it would be. And I didn't have to put a whole bunch together. Significantly easier to get put together than the table saw, but the table saw wasn't hard either. But this is just throw all the things on. The fence here is crazy adjustable. I don't know how often I'll be moving the fence around, but I guess we're gonna find out. Right, so yeah, that's the jointer. Moving. All right, so the heaviest one out of the 3, the planer. I assume it's heavy for a specific reason, but I think I'm just going to open up the bottom and spit it out that way, because I don't want to try to lift it out of the box up here. So let's get to it. By far the easiest one to set up. I don't like where the cord comes out of this guy. It comes out of the front, but I mean, I've never used one before, so maybe I just don't know what I'm talking about. But I like how easy that was. Just straight up. There's only a couple of things. There's a lot more reading, which I'm slow at. So, yeah, once we get the trolley or cart built for these 2 guys, then we'll clean them up with the alcohol and whatnot, and rust protection, and then move on. I don't know why I got lost there. But anyway, so let's grab this jointer again. Now the goal is to try and get these guys on a cart together with the shop vac underneath. So then I can easily move them around the shop, maybe have a smaller footprint. So this guy, if I'm feeding in this orientation, it means the jointer has to sit on this side of him, because the dust extraction's on that side. And then the jointer is going to have to sit Oops. See, this is why we're testing. This is going to be a bigger cart than I thought. Unless we offset them in some fashion. It's going to have to be another cart the same size as. Maybe the cart isn't the way. Maybe we just have them on a shelf and pull them out when needed, and use them on the workbench. Maybe I clean off that shelf by the door, and then because I got to move there's 2 fire extinguishers there, so I'm going to take the bigger one and put it over on this side where the forge and stuff is going to be, or maybe up against the wall, maybe underneath the outlet there or something. I don't even know if those are still certified, so I got to check those and get them done. But that shelf right there is probably perfect for these to sit on. And then the table saw, I can just put it on a little cart, like a little flat cart with casters, and then we can move the table saw around. Because we got to raise the table saw up about 3 inches anyway, so it's the same level as this guy. Because I'd love for this guy also to be the whatever outfeed table we need for when if we're ever sawing something larger. I'd like to just have that preemptively done. It's, again, like I said, it's warming up, or quite warm this week, and we'll see if it stays that way. If it stays that way this weekend, I'll probably move the forge in. But for now, I'm gonna go eat something and go to bed, and then tomorrow I'll come in and we'll see if we can start getting these boards ready for the wall, and so that will be exciting. Okay. Excuse me. So I've done a couple of things. Unfortunately, I've ran out of time this week, and so I'm just gonna set some things up, and then I gotta get going. But I did a couple of things. I hung the TV, and I was afraid it was gonna be too big, but it's like exactly perfect. I had to hang it pretty janky though, so it's a little wobbly, but I don't plan on touching it. And I assume that the doors will be able to open. I'm staring at it, right? And so it's like right above you guys. So I'm sure you'll catch a glimpse of it in later videos. And it's literally there just to watch baseball while I create glory. Anyway, so you can also see, I don't know if you guys can see in the frame, but there's some additions over in the corner here. I brought the forge in because it's warm now. And then once it's hooked up, I won't care if it gets cold. It's just I didn't want to move the hose around a lot in the freezing cold. So that's inside. I got a tiny little miter saw that I'm going to put on the bench over here. And then there's a skill like a chop saw that I have as well. Those are just used that were just, one of them was in here, the other one Courtney had in the storage room. And then 2 little bench grinders, one 6-inch and one 8-inch bench grinder. I don't know if I'm going to use them or if I'm going to buy a belt sander, because I really want a belt sander, but if I do, it's going to be used. But that side of the shop to come soon. I got to fashion a table that the forge can sit on that's not made out of wood, and currently everything I have is wood. So that's why I have this guy. This guy here it seems almost perfect. If I can get a good base on it. He's a little high though, because I don't necessarily want to be up here, and Courtney's got to use it too, and she's significantly shorter than I am. So I'm going to figure out, maybe my very first time welding anything will be cutting this down a little bit welding it back and then putting a plate on either side and securing it and seeing if this can be our table for our forge. It looks like I'm probably going to use that block of wood or stump for the anvil for now anyway. I just got to figure out a way to secure it so the anvil doesn't bounce around. And then we have the welder that's already on a table that can come in. So a little bit of things for that side, but it's going to take a little bit because I have to make it all out of metal. There is some metal scraps here and there, but nothing big enough to hold the forge. So I'm going to have to go scrap in or find something laying around. But anyway, the other reason why we're here is the reason why I pulled these sawhorses is to get a gauge on how this is going to work out for me. So again, I have these boards that we can put to use. This one's got a big chunk coming off of it, but I only need in between these uprights. I'm going to fashion all the boards to those, which means I need to. I think this has got a flattened piece. I don't know if that's structurally not correct, but I'll probably just throw some glue in there. And then, anyway, we're going to be fashioning the boards in between the outlets, and we're going to come all the way up to probably about just below that outlet that I moved up here. So I need them this long. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I did measure. And so we're going to move a bunch of them because we have some maintenance and stuff to do on them. And so they are tongue and groove, so they do sit in each other, inside each other. However, I don't know if you can see from there, but they have some nails that I don't know how to get out because I don't think I can. Let me just grab the hammer here. The hammer's not there. Oh, I was using it when I put the TV up. Anyway, so this guy is just so like some of these guys just aren't coming out. I have a hard time. Like they've obviously drove them through the board all the way, but like with a punch, it looks like. And so what my goal is to pay attention to where they are. And either try to pull them out in any fashion or just sink them back into the board itself. And from there, so that one's going back in, but I don't think I'm going to get it back out of this side. Yeah, there's no way. So I'm going to have to cut that one off. But either way, so that's the plan is figure out where all the nails are. They're just on the ends, and I can use the middle part or what have you. This guy has a metal piece on it that we're going to have to take off in order to make this all work. Some of this has been sitting in here for a while. Some of it's broken. I don't plan on having this wall that I'm constructing be like structural in any way. Yeah, that sits in there just nice. I just plan on having it just up there so I can paint it and write on it. So it's okay if these aren't perfect because I'm gonna sand them down and then hang them up or sand them down. I don't know if I still haven't figured out the best way to do that. These guys are all still attached. So this might be a problem. This has to be the bottom though. I could probably pull them apart. But again, why if I don't need to? But this bottom board doesn't have a groove in it like all of the other boards. And so I'm going to make sure, I'm going to try to keep these intact. I don't know, because this guy's all gnarly on the end. So what do we got here? About 72 inches. I'll do a better mark that way. And so, yeah, if this crack starts here, and I go 72. Yeah, it's going to be hard to use. Well, I can do that actually. I'm trying to figure out where the nails are and if I can use the 72 inches in between the nails. But again, this will only cover 34 inches, and I need it to be longer than that. Because 34 inches is only there. I need it to be probably 43 inches, so it's another set of boards. Either way, we can make that work. So my thought process on that was just cut to one side of all the boards, just find the better side. So maybe I'll use just this 72 inches here. And then if I can fashion a whole nother board out of this side of everything by just piecing together the top or whatever, sand it, paint it, put it together. It's just I don't know what to do about these guys that are flaking and coming apart. So the center of the board is obviously the better option. So I just got some thinking to do on this. But I'm gonna start by, like, I don't have to only take this side of the boards. I can take like that side of that board and that side of that board. So like this bottom board is pretty gnarly. So I'll have to probably have to take these boards apart, to be honest. And then just find the 72 inches of this board that work the best, which looks like that's right there. Cut it there. And then for the second board actually looks better than all of the other boards. So I could definitely save the end of one of them. And this third board is actually pretty okay as well. It's just getting the nails out or more in that I'm going to worry about. But anyway, so I got to stop talking because that's what I like to do right now. However, I'm going to make a small little jig for just my little circular saw here because I want to cut these boards as straight as humanly possible. Well, for me anyway. Just because I want them to secure to the wall well. So I got these things. These are just aluminum sheets with little screw holes. They hold carpet down. But I think I'm going to get a piece of plyboard or something and have this be my straight edge on a board, and then it can be my guide. Because it's perfectly straight, these things. So, and these are really, really great, and they're not heavy. They're really unencumbered. And so I'm going to have to just cut it down to say like 2 feet, 2.5 feet, and then just make a little jig to cut all these boards as straight as possible. So the skill saw over there has a metal blade in it, so I'm not worried about getting through this. Aluminum, I've never cut aluminum though, so we'll see. But I'm probably going to work on that this weekend. So hopefully I have that done before we continue on, and hopefully I have some progress to show on this particular project because I got to go and buy the paint and and get some stuff done in that regards. So hopefully the things in this next week actually go a little bit more my way. Just a lot of stuff got in the way this week, so shorter day, but we moved on. We got some stuff hung. We got some things taken care of. We didn't get really anything extra built, which was my goal. But we did decide that the planer and the, I don't know if you can see the blanket, but the blanket's covering the planer and the jointer. Just no reason to have them covered in sawdust and stuff when they're not in use. I think we're just gonna, like, when we need them, move them to the table. If that's really bad for some reason, somebody let me know. But that's the plan right now, because building another cart would just take up too much of a footprint here, especially since we have the table saw. I bought casters, wherever they might be. These casters are okay. They're rubber casters, and they have individually locking. Every caster has its own lock, so that's really good for the table saw. And I'm literally just gonna, because those are about 2.5 inches high, and remember we need 3 inches of lift on that, and so I'm just gonna build just a flat base that has some cups for the legs of the actual table to sit in, and we'll just move it around like that for a little while. But anyway, I keep babbling. Thank you, and we continue on.